The Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda, remains tensed as soldiers continue looking for the killers of a police inspector suspected to be separatist fighters. Inhabitants have been indoors today as gunshots have been heard in several parts of the Northwest Regional Capital. We shall be having an update in this newscast, and we tell you how parents are yet to prepare their kids for school 3 weeks to the 2020-2021 academic year. In the schools, the registration process is timid despite starting this week. Those are top stories. Good evening and thanks for joining us. You're watching the Primetime Newscast on STV. Just as we told you in the headlines, Lieutenant Colonel Ekoso Lisonge Francis has been named as the Deputy Coordinator of the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Commission. He was named today by the Head of State, President Paul Biya. The Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee was created in 2018 and is a platform for separatist fighters and Boko Haram insurgents to willingly drop their weapons and join the mainstream. Government has created centers in Bamenda, Boya, as well as Mora in the far north region of the country. As we told you in the headlines, an uneasy calm reigns in the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda, as soldiers continue to raid the city in search of suspected separatist fighters who killed a police inspector yesterday. Locals around the city chemist area are holding their breath as gunshots have been heard. An update with Josephine Benzi.
According to some sources, gunshots could still be heard around City Chemist today in Bamenda, capital of the Northwest region of Cameroon, following sporadic gunshots that lasted over 3 hours on September 1, 2020, due to the killing of a 28-year-old uniform officer on patrol in Small Mankong by unidentified men hiding in a building near the scene of the incident. On this video circulating on social media, while some denizens sought refuge in their homes, some business people sought refuge at a police station where they found safety.
Ça a commencé à 13h. Les solistes ont commencé à tirer. Jusqu'à maintenant, ils continuent toujours à tirer. Ils sont passés au GMI, le groupement mobile d'intervention.
Reports hold that the police inspector, popularly called Little Bikolo, had recently spent just 5 months in Bamenda before his demise. Denizens are bracing up the new day with some gunshots after yesterday's hits that left all and sundry in panic.
And the initiator of the Anglophone General Conference has urged fleeing population of the Northwest and Southwest regions to return back to their homes. Cardinal Crescentomi says that the situation back is improving despite clashes between government forces and separatist fighters. He was speaking on the program Hard Talk on STV.
Back by plane. I think one of our coordinator, Ellie Smith, welcomed them in Yaoundé. He knows how they are welcomed there, and the government is caring for them until they get their way out. They are not coming back to go back to the forest. A whole plane full of those who went to Nigeria. And those, some who are in the borders between us and Nigeria are crossing over to here. And some from here now are going back home. I met somebody, a medical officer in Kumbo. He said, no, it's better for him to be here. And he is there. The situation is not easy, but I can assure you that myself I will advise those who run away from their villages to go back. They are better there than here, where some have nothing to eat. The other day I received a woman with 5 children. She said for 3 days they have not eaten. The husband was killed. She ran to this way and to this side of the country. And they have nothing to eat. I gave them the little I had. At that time we were not yet in contact with the Prime Ministry. It's from our own small pocket allowance, as I will call it, exactly, that we try to help them to live under trees. I wonder what happened to them with the flood in Douala. Because some of them were under trees. Back in the villages, everyone has a little home where he can stay.
Registration for the 2020-2021 academic year in schools in the Littoral region is yet to take off effectively 3 weeks to the start of the 2020-2021 academic year. Crystal Asexuele took the registration pause in some schools here in the economic capital, and our reports.
As the days narrowed down to the resumption of the 2020-2021 school year, some parents in the economic capital of Cameroon are already gearing up and making provisions for the upcoming school year. I am here to register my kids for the school year. Time is running by as today is already September 2, and I want to get them registered before the month comes to an end. Just like this parent met this day at the Government High School Aqua in the Douala 1 municipality, who came out to secure a place for his child in the school early enough to avoid the crowd and pressure that usually mounts up during the last minute. He was informed by the school authorities that registrations will only begin when all the other end-of-year examination results will be published. I was told here that registrations have not begun. They are waiting for all the end-of-year examination results to be published. Apart from this government school, bookshop owners and vendors also complain of the slow pace in their activities and blame it on the present economic crisis. The turnout is slow and timid. I can barely count parents who stop by. Moreover, we have not yet received the supply of books. In a recent release by the Minister of Secondary Education stating that enrollment in schools will begin on September 1 and that payment of due contributions and official examinations throughout the country will be done electronically. I am here to buy my children's school supplies. It's better to begin earlier than later. Nonetheless, the colors of the resumption of the school year are already visible in most commercial spaces, as bookstores and shops are already providing supplies to satisfy their clients, especially those who prefer to shop as early as possible.
Back at home, some parents are undecided about sending their children to school this year due to financial hardship. This explains why some have decided to wait till the last minute before preparing their kids for school. John Paul Sama reports.
Barely a month to the resumption of classes for the 2020-2021 academic school year, some parents are yet to make up their minds on sending their children back to school because of hard times.
En vérité, c'est difficile de répondre à cette question, compte tenu même de la conjoncture que nous voyons là.
Times are hard these days. There are no clients unlike before, because in the past, parents were well equipped during the time of Ahijo with multiple accompanying back-to-school projects like loans. But today, it's a very sad situation.
Vous-même cette situation, vous-même qui m'interrogez là, vous croyez que en vérité les choses marchent bien?
Before, we had a little something in our pockets, but today we go for over a week without 1,000 francs, and I'm not even sure how children are going to go back to school. Others say they are waiting for the resumption dates to draw closer before getting the necessary things for their kids. I am part of those who wait right up to the last minutes to get things together, so there is still time before back to school. But what is certain is that we will honor the D-Day. But as most would say, the earlier, the better.
Pas tout à fait. Lorsque je cause avec beaucoup de parents,
not really, but when I speak with other parents, I get the feeling that they are still waiting on the government. But for me as a parent, I've already started my preparations because I like to do things early. The COVID-19 has had a huge toll on parents as they look to send their kids back to school come October 5.
Away from school preparations, the mayor of Douala 5 has given 8 days for inhabitants who have built on drainage paths to vacate these zones. The order has been received with mixed feelings by some natives of Bamenda Petivuri neighborhood. Lanet One reports.
The 8 days deadline given by the mayor of Douala 5, Richard Fongwang, to inhabitants constructing on drainages in his locality to quickly evacuate from such sites have been warmly welcomed by sub-residents in Bamenda Petivuri in the Douala 5 municipality.
La lenteur administrative qui a été même cause. Parce que si
it's the slowness of administrative authorities. That is the cause. If they had done that before, everyone would have destroyed their houses near the water. It's even worse the other way. We just wonder if someone constructs on drainages, he should leave the site without arguing, because it's for the good of all. People cannot die because of your house. If someone constructs on a drainage system and the house is to be destroyed, he should leave immediately.
Alors si quelqu'un passe sur le drain et construit la maison et qu'on veut dégager, mais quitte.
Others on their part say this decision can only be accepted if a rehabilitation site is being provided. All I can say is he's our leader. If he's saying so, that means he has constructed somewhere to harbor us. We will be happy. We have spent so much here for more than 40 years now. If he has a house elsewhere to keep us there, then we have no problem. In order to avoid flood in their area, a sensitization campaign has been organized by the quarter head.
Les mesures, nous sommes en train de sensibiliser la population. Le chef de quartier, notre chef de quartier, Sa Majesté Wamba.
We are sensitizing the population. Our quarter head has taken some sensitization measures, so the people building on drainages won't be surprised even if they come to destroy their houses. They cannot claim ignorance.
Nous, les gens qui sont sur les emprises de drain, vraiment, même si on vient même pour casser, ils ne vont pas dire qu'ils sont surpris.
The population is calling on authorities to help fix the different drainage systems in their locality.
The management of the Lakantini Hospital here in Douala has embarked on renovating some depleting structures of the hospital and replacing some faulty equipment. The aim of this move is to beef up the capacity of the hospital to respond to cases, as Ladonet One reports.
With the decrease in the number of COVID-19 cases in Cameroon, authorities at the Lakantini Hospital here in the economic capital of the country have decided to renovate some infrastructures as well as acquire equipment so as to help facilitate the care of patients.
The materials that we are just receiving now, the materials bought by Lakantini itself to improve on the quality of care that are being given to the patients. For a while now, we've had beds that are dilapidated, beds that have been used for so long, and the quality have really reduced. So the hospital have taken an engagement to acquire new materials to facilitate the care that we give to our patients. We have beds, we have other medical materials in the container that just came.
All these are being done so as to eradicate the fear of contracting the COVID-19 virus in the hospital, as well as reassuring the population of a smooth treatment process.
The hospital is in a process. It's in a process of change. It's a change. If you can see around, there are so many innovations that are taking place in the hospital. We have the buildings that are being renovated. We have the wards. I'm sure most of you have gone through the wards. We have wards, we have renovation works that are going on there to improve the quality of care that we give to our patients.
For the first time, a General Assembly will be held on the 18th of September at the Party House in Bonanjo. This meeting will have in attendance all the staffs of Lakentini and will be used as an avenue to discuss better management.
The Executive Bureau of the National Union of Teachers of Higher Education, SINES, has announced that it will be holding a General Assembly in Chang in the west region of the country tomorrow, September 4. Several issues will be on the agenda for discussions. Amongst them will be the issue concerning the Board of Directors. Our reporter, Crystal Asexuele, spoke to Dr. Wogen Janet, who is the Communication Officer of SINES Douala, who now weighs in on tomorrow's meeting.
The National Advisory Council is an organ in charge of SINES inter-congressional management. So during this National Advisory Council, we will renew the National Executive Bureau, but mostly the General Secretary. So what is the different topic we will discuss is, first of all, the right of the lecturer, their obligation as lecturers, and the condition of life of lecturer, and also their right as lecturers. So we mostly have to sensitize lecturers about their obligation and to help them to know that it is very important to be member of the SINES just to defend the right of lecturers.
Artists and cultural promoters in Douala have met today to brainstorm on the recent law reforming the arts and culture sector in the country. The aim is to enable them be conversant with it for professionalism as well as collective effort. Details in this report.
Regrouping artists to various municipalities and districts has been the pillar objectives of Cameroon Culture Press Conference here in the littoral region.
Le premier, c'est notamment celui qui veut que les
Firstly, are those who want the association of artists to be confined, as per the law, in the deployment of the activities in various municipalities and districts, so that we can operate at the national level. We ought to regroup ourselves in companies, and companies into unions and smaller segments, and only federations can function at the national and international level.
Fédérations peuvent opérer au plan national et même international.
2 bills were formally adopted by the National Assembly on Committee on Constitutional Laws and Cultural Affairs Committee, which seeks to professionalize the sector in a bid to create jobs and wealth. We know that this law was adopted and adopted so fast, contrary to what we were thinking, because actually to call the attention via a workshop for some artists and in the world of culture, which wasn't done, and we deposited the law at the National Assembly for the Prime Minister to enforce it, and now we are trying to catch up.
Pour son application. Bon, maintenant, nous essayons de rattraper ce qui peut l'être encore, parce qu'en fait le problème c'est quoi?
The press conference has taken place today, Wednesday, September 2, 2020, and saw the attendance of some artists and cultural icons of the country.
Out of the country, U.S. President Donald Trump has ignored concerns from local officials over racial tensions, visiting Kenosha in Wisconsin, which is the site of a violent protest triggered by the shooting of a black man by a white police officer last month. The U.S. strongman has been pushing his campaign of law and order. As we get more from the VOA.
Protests and counter-protests greeted President Donald Trump's visit to Kenosha, Wisconsin, following violent unrest over the police shooting of Jacob Blake on August 23rd. The black man was shot 7 times in the back by a white police officer trying to arrest him. Defying statements from the Kenosha mayor and Wisconsin governor, who say the president's visit will trigger more racial tension, Trump toured a business area burnt down during the unrest.
And we're going to help them a lot. I think we're going to help them a lot.
Trump met with law enforcement, but not the Blake family. He pushed a message of law and order to tamp down months of sometimes violent protests around the country, wading deeper into the debate over racial tension ahead of the November election. This week, Trump suggested that a white teenager accused of fatally shooting 2 people with a semi-automatic weapon during the Kenosha unrest may have acted in self-defense, prompting more criticism, including from Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden.
Fires are burning and we have a president who fans the flames rather than fighting the flames. But we must not burn. We have to build.
Trump blamed Democrats for enabling the violence, which he called domestic terror.
Reckless far-left politicians continue to push the destructive message that our nation and our law enforcement are oppressive or racist.
The president's response to racial unrest is becoming a key election issue, with some research suggesting it may motivate black voters to come to the polls. But despite the Trump campaign's laser focus on law and order, ultimately it may not change many minds.
Support, particularly among whites, for the protest movement has declined somewhat, but in a highly polarized country, Trump's base of support is stable, Biden's base of support is stable, and we're just not seeing that much movement despite news events.
Still, the Trump campaign is making an appeal to white suburban voters concerned by the violence, particularly in swing states such as Wisconsin. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News.
In sports, PWD of Bamenda is bracing up for the CAF Champions League as they begin warm-up. The head coach of the team is confident of putting up a formidable team that would defend Cameroon's colors in the continental competition. Details with John Paul Sama.
The champions of Cameroon now know the date when they will be able to play the CAF Champions League, as PWD of Bamenda are motivated to represent the country at this competition.
No, you see, after the come out of the date, we are happy. Every supporter, even our player is motivated because of that. They realize that PWD Bamenda play really that CAF Champions League. Though we are happy, we are beginning to work to prepare that championship. So we are motivated. We are focused to be on top on the date.
They have been busy in the transfer market and are putting everything in place to ensure that they do better than what other teams have done in the last 3 years.
We are going to resume our training on Tuesday next week.
Mm-hmm.
So all the recruitment are closed. I have my team in my head.
Okay.
So I have all the document administrative is okay, because you know that one team want to participate on the CAF Champions League, that team obliged to have a license CAF, the team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's many documents to fill. So in that way we are ready. So yet now you have to go to the field, look our guys, look our squad, how they react, how they are motivated, how this player and this player
The first round of the CAF Champions League will begin on November 20th to the 22nd for the preliminary games first leg and the 27th to the 29th for the return leg matches.
And that does it for the Primetime Newscast on STV. Thank you very much for watching. On behalf of the entire crew in Douala, have a good night. Bye-bye.